A2 media theories: Marxism, Emoji, and liberal pluralism. What is Marxism? Well, Marxism is based on the writings of Karl Marx, who was a 19th century philosopher and social activist. He argued that a capitalist society is divided into two classes. Okay? The proletariat, or workers, who have to sell their labour to survive, so they have to work for somebody for their living. And the bourgeois, who own a range of different types of capital, such as factories, shares, or properties. They do not work for their living, they reap the benefits of the workers working for them to fund their lifestyle. The bourgeois have also been, that's sort of the upper classes, the rich. That has also been extended in recent years to include the middle classes. So who, though they do not own capital, they don't own properties and things, they identify and serve the ideals of those who do. So they have the same ideals as the rich and the upper classes. Marxists are concerned about how the masses accept the system, and Karl Marx himself suggested that the ideology, values, and beliefs of the bourgeois are ingrained in the mass media. The mass media contributes to persuading the proletariat to accept capitalism as natural and inevitable, while simultaneously, so at the same time as persuading them that this is normal, it'll distract them from complaining about this exploitation. Okay, so it's two functions. They see the mass media as having two functions, as persuading the proletariat to accept capitalism as natural and distract them from complaining about it. This links into Emoji. Emoji was developed by Antonio Gramsci from 1920s, who developed Marxism further and introduced this idea. Emoji is the process by which a power relationship is accepted and seen as natural or common sense, as I put there for you. This idea of hegemogy is seen by the way that popular culture contributes to the manufacturing of consent for bourgeois and capital society. What that basically means is that by showing repeated images of middle-class people in positions of power, such as control and leadership, they're therefore suggesting that class division in society is common sense. An example of this, and you probably see this on TV quite a lot, is newsreaders and experts on television, and they're always seen as middle class. Hegemogy as a concept, by the way, can be applied to not only class but also power relationships found in gender, sexuality and race. We will talk about this in later podcasts and also in class, so don't worry. A good case study is lifestyle programmes. Lifestyle programmes are very popular on British TV and cover a wide range of areas, domestic and personal life. Subjects covered include child rearing, such as Super Nanny, cooking, such as Nigella Lawson, dog training, It's Me or the Dog, or clothing, and there's What Not to Wear. There are other, and you also got more modern ones such as Gok Wang's How to Look Good Naked and things like that. It can be argued that these programmes involve the retraining of the members of the working and lower middle class into the value, ideals and tastes of the bourgeois. The experts on these programmes, as you can see here, are clearly defined by the accent, home background and demeanour as members of the middle class, the way they dress, the way they act, the way they behave, etc. These experts are often dominant in the maison scene and provide the voiceover narration. McRobbie, 2004, argued that by denouncing the taste and behaviour of the participants in a form of symbolic violence towards these working class people. An example of this is in the early series of What Not to Wear, the two presenters, very middle class people, Trini and Susanna, they destroyed the participants' clothing by cutting them up, and they also humiliated the participants by criticising their clothing style in front of friends and family. Therefore, they are breaking down the workers, and the middle class, the bourgeois, are breaking down the middle class and rebuilding them in the way they want. This is your homework. Think of 3 other television programmes which demonstrate that they are contributing this idea of the bourgeois being in a position of power, and explain how your chosen programmes demonstrate this. Okay. Chomsky and Herman in 1988. They argue that the media manipulates populations to prevent them from rebelling against the powerful dominant classes. They achieve this by manufacturing consent. They control the audience's thoughts and ideas. through the media, and therefore controlling. They basically filter certain things out. Chomsky and Herman do not suggest that filtering is done deliberately, though. Bear that in mind. But is done by the media's own censorship, which is often based on the media institution's needs for profit and appeal to consumers. Okay? So don't think they do it on purpose sometimes. Sometimes they're doing it because their censorship says they have to, etc. There are criticisms of Marxism, and you should be aware of that. Major criticism of Marxism is that it sees the audience as passive rather than active. Look at unsuccessful media campaigns. They demonstrate they're not as easy manipulators as we like to think. There was a case a few years ago, The Adventures of Pluto Nash, if ever you have ever seen it, with Eddie Murphy. That was a critical and it flopped astronomically. And there was a massive aggressive campaign to make it seem popular, and nobody bought. No one went and saw it. It wasn't popular. That shows that audience can't be passive. You don't just tell them what to do. They must interact with the media. Stuart Hall, 1981, consent for the bourgeoisie is fragile and fleeting. It must constantly be re-established. He said that this is because popular culture is a site for the contestation of ideologies, values and hegemony rather than just manufacturing consent. This basically means that we engage with the media, we comment on it, therefore we can't be... The fact they have to keep re-establishing this relationship of the bourgeois, you always see it in television, the experts always middle class, etc. The fact they keep having to do that suggests that this relationship, this idea of Marxism keeps need to be re-established, has to keep reinforced. So obviously there must be something else going on. The other thing as well, the other thing with Stuart Hall, you should look at how a number of media texts, that the texts are polysemic. They're open to a range of different readings and interpretations, as we've discussed already. Different audiences will interpret a text differently. There's also the liberal pluralism theory, which goes against Marxism too, and that's what we'll talk about now. Liberal pluralism. Basically, this challenges the ideas put forward by Marxists. This theory sees society as being made up of competing interest groups. The media is subject to the wishes of its consumers. They basically argue that the media conveys a range of views and opinions presented, and audience select and reject from a range of opinion, values and ideologies offered to them. So, for example, you can have television shows broadcasting competing political parties. The audience will they won't all buy every single one. They'll choose which one they want to listen to, etc. It also suggests that the media can operate as an element of democracy, actually, because the fact that everyone is represented. An example of this is the reporting events on TV news and in newspapers. This keeping the electorate informed about the actions of government and the legal system. Think about in the news, we always get stories about what politicians are up to and things like that. If there was no democracy, we wouldn't have that. So if the Marxists as the Marxist theory was in full force, we wouldn't hear the damaging things that happen, etc. A good case study is YouTube. YouTube was launched in 2005, and the concept was to have a video sharing website where users can upload, view and share video clips. YouTube provides a space for a wide range of opinions to be expressed, not just those of the major political parties. The ease and relative cheapness of uploading a video can be seen as enabling for previously marginalised political groups. Everyone can get access to it. For example, over 4 million people viewed Barack Obama's website on YouTube, and this is seen as a major contributing factor to its success in the race for Democratic Party's presidential nominations in 2008.